Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Happy Money Monday Live. Let's get into it, shall we? First and foremost, let me start off by saying happy Black History Month. This is our first live of Black History Month. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so today's live is all about building blocks to sustainable economic empowerment and financial freedom. In the event, hey, Harmony, in the harmonious leaf. I don't want to have it. In the event you have any questions, ask away. I love to do these Money Monday lives because it is the perfect way for us to be a resource for our community. Outside of being able to ask during these lives, you gotta pay for a consult. So ask. If any questions come up, there are no dumb questions. Everybody shows up for these to build, to grow, to evolve, and to be able to sustainably progress. So I just wanted to make sure to start off that way. There are no strangers. And this is a no judgment zone when it comes to economic empowerment and development. This live is transpiring on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Clubhouse, all at our stop shop. So if at any point you need to reach us on a different platform, hop on any of them. The live is going simultaneously. Okay, so let's get into it. So the topics we're going to cover today are banking, saving, coupons, travel, real estate, health and fitness, investing, save. Why did I say save twice? Alternative incomes, business, credit, budgeting, spending, life insurance. And I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my hardest. She said, "May just be my phone, but I can't." Yeah, try to get out and come right back in, because the sound should definitely be working well. We did a little bit of a dry run before y'all got in here. So definitely try to get out and come back in. And if for any reason it's still not working, get on one of the other platforms. Okay, so let's get into it. So banking. Banking is one of those fundamental things where a lot of people don't realize it, but your banking relationship kind of sets the tone for the types of financial resources you have at your disposal when it's time to start executing or using other people's money. Um, which is the most important part, using other people's money, which you'll end up finding, especially if you don't come from wealth, especially if you don't come from inheritance or people you can borrow stacks from. Not hold something, borrow stacks, baby. I'm talking stacks, moolah, rows or bands. Did you hear me? And so for those reasons, being able to tap into other people's money becomes super fundamental. Because not only does it give you access to cash or credit, it also gives you access to leverage, which is the most important thing you need if you're thinking about financial freedom. In the event you think you are going to be able to trade time for money, you don't have enough years. It don't matter how old you live to be, you do not have enough years to exchange time for money to be able to build real wealth or financial freedom. It is fundamentally necessary for you to be able to use something that doesn't require sacrifice of time for money to see those types of returns. And so your banking relationship holds a lot of weight, because what's going to happen is banks are willing to do business with people that bank with them, right? They're willing to give you more leverage with the more business you conduct with them. Two, it builds up that personal trust for you, even if your credit may not have the best reputation, or even if you are less experienced financially, right? Meaning you've only been doing this wealth building thing for a couple of months or a couple of years. The banking relationship is going to give you that extra leverage to be able to tap into things. Now, the most important things that we like to put an emphasis on with banking is their fee model and their funding limits, right? So what do I mean by their fee model? I mean, how much do they charge you for either day-to-day things that you want to be able to utilize that institution for, to have accounts with that institution. Or in the event you get caught in a bind, oversight transpires, you mishap and forget a payment, or something comes out of an account you didn't expect it to. Or did you just kind of really, I'm gonna say mishaps. I'm not gonna say you overdrawn accounts on purpose because you broke. I'm gonna say mishaps, like an oversight, like, oh, I forgot that came out of the state, right? So their fee model is gonna matter the most, because the fees are going to dictate what type of leverage or flexibility you have to utilize them. And so that is super fundamental. Those are the top two things you need to be worried about with your banking relationship, and how much will they afford you to have as limits, right? If that bank caps at personal funding at I don't know, $25,000. Well, $25,000 is the most leverage you're going to have without having the money as collateral. And when I say how much available funding, I mean unsecure. Unsecure means there's nothing on the line for it. Prime example, the SBA, right? They were doing these EID loans for companies that were established. As long as you were established before February of 2020, you were eligible to apply for an EIDL loan. Now, here's the thing about it. Those EIDL loans would give you up to like, I think $5 million, and they would give you up to like 200,000 without a personal guarantee. What does that mean? That means your personal credit isn't on the line. Now, they would only give you up to 25,000 without collateral, meaning your business had to own something or possess something that they could leverage to get a portion of the loan funding that they provided to your company back in the event you defaulted on the loan or failed to pay it back, right? And so unsecured funding means I'm going to let you hold this, trusting based on your actions, your activity, your whatever, your track record, that you're going to be able to provide it back to me. And the only thing you're going to have to pay is probably the interest on top of it. Cool. So your banking relationship matters for that. And it matters when it comes to saving, right? If you are saving, 9 times out of 10, you're not tossing it straight into a brokerage account or an investment avenue. Very few people do that. Initially, people save in an account. They save in a bank account. They save in a CD. They save in something that allows for them to put the money in fluidly, in preparation to invest. Because if you are saving, you should be saving to invest, right? Put invest in the comments. If you are in this live, put invest in the comments. If you are saving to invest. Put invest in the comments. Thomas, can you come look at your phone? It's real dark. So you should be saving to invest. The reason why the saving part, reason why that banking, no, this is, come on this side. The reason why that the savings, the account thing matters so much when it comes to savings is because you're not gonna make a lot of money saving money, right? You see how dark it is? You're not gonna make a lot of money saving money. However, you do not want to have to pay to save, right? And so that's where that bank account is going to play a significant factor, because you do not want to have to pay to save your own money. If you're saving to invest, last thing you want to do is have somebody taking 1%, 5%, 10%. I don't give a damn what it is. It could be 1 cent. Like, the last thing you want to have to do is slide something to somebody as you execute. That's the worst. Do it with both hands, Thomas. That's the worst thing. So you save to invest, and it's super fun. Thank you. It's so, Thomas, you messed up. Sorry, guys. So it's super fundamental for you to put yourself in a position where you're seeing some type of return on investment as a result. I mean, you're at least seeing some type of interest, or at least not seeing fees. So you want to be in a position where you at least can tap into an account where it benefits you. Typically, though, if you're in that saving process, I say you should be getting a little something. The bank, because the bank is definitely taking credit for that money while it's there to invest and put on their leverage sheet to do their own investing. So you should be getting something, whether it's 0.2 right now. The Fed interest rates are still very low, 0.25%, which is mean 25%, 25 cents for every $100. So you're not going to get a lot unless it's in something that can hold that money up a little bit longer, like a CD, or really CDs are probably going to be the biggest. CDs typically are the highest interest holding things in a traditional bank, to be able to save it. And so then that plays a huge role into the next one, which is investing, right? So you done save this money. I don't know why I said this twice, so I'm gonna fix that. You done save this money, and now it's time to prepare to invest. Okay, it's time to prepare to invest. And so investing can look completely different for every single one of us. It can look completely different for every single one of us. You can invest in education, you can invest in resources, you can invest in residual income methods, right? A residual income method, the most common is going to be something that pays dividends, whether it's an insurance policy, whether it's an annuity, whether it's a stock, a bond. It's even cryptocurrencies. I got at least 3 cryptocurrencies I'm holding right now that pay a yield on them. Any type of a lot of equities may give it, right? For what else, Thomas? What else do you invest in that gives you a residual? The C. I'm not gonna say that one. Thomas said a CD, but I'm not gonna say a CD. Just because that's on the saving side, babe, more so than the investing side. But yeah, so it's a number of tools that you can use to invest. However, it is super important for you to set up your goal, right? You may be investing in having property, real estate. You may be you may be wanting to passively invest, right? Be the person that contributes to the revenue earned by somebody else, owning a business, holding a business, things of that nature. You may want to invest in what? Honestly, it's a lot of ways to invest. I'm tripping. Duh, jewels, stones, wine, metals, oil. Huh? I said jewels, gold, diamond. Gold is really outweighs diamonds. If we've been real, but yeah, there's so many ways to invest. Some of the best ways to invest are ways that are passive. It means you put the money up front and then you ain't really got to do too much work. I love to invest in real estate where I got property managers. I love to invest in real estate where it is land. You hear me? Like land. One of the most fundamental things you're going to have to do, however, is invest in education first. Period. That's probably going to be your first investment. Put a 1 in the chat if you were taught about money from your parents. Put a 2 in the chat if you were taught about money as a part of adulthood. Put a 3 in the chat if you actually had to invest in learning financial literacy. This is a judgment-free zone. So 1, if you were taught by your parents. 2, if adulting forced you into having to learn on your own. 3, if you actually had to pay for the education and kind of just stumble, trial and error through it over the course of time, right? 9 out of 10 people, unfortunately, especially in the American economy, right? They were not taught by their parents. So what does that mean? That means there is a lot of loopholes here. And the biggest problem becomes you only know bits and pieces of the puzzle. So what ends up transpiring is you figure out one part and then these other parts are completely neglected, right? You figured out the credit part, but you ain't figured out the business part, or you figured out the business part, but you ain't figured out the retirement plan part, right? You can there are missing pieces of the puzzle, or you figured out how to make money, but you didn't figure out how to make that money generate its own money on your behalf, right? You didn't figure out how to put it to work. And so that ends up becoming the issue because you're still piecing it together along the way. And so without that ability to pay for education, I promise you, you are going to find yourself 2 steps forward, 3 steps back every time, because there's going to be that one thing you didn't know that ends up being the thing that hits you the hardest, right? And so that is why we're here covering a lot quickly, right? And so the investing, the first thing you're gonna have to invest in is education, period. Like, and then that avails you the ability to go full speed ahead, taking that money and then investing it into the avenue you want to give you a return on its own without having to work or sacrificing all these things for down the line. And as a part of that process, investing while you're saving, really, this is out of order, so sorry about that. While you're saving, you should be also building that credit. That should be fundamentally necessary. You should be building that credit. Why are you building that credit? You're building that credit so you can give yourself the leverage to use other people's money, right? Your money is being invested. Other people's money may be able to possibly be invested in conjunction with yours to give you higher returns quicker. And credit is the foundation of the American way at this point. I'm not even going to hold you. Some countries don't put such an emphasis on it, but America does. After watching Hamilton, I realized the American financial system was put in place to combat the fact that America was over leveraged pretty much early on. And so how did they kind of combat that over leverage? With credit. They created a credit infrastructure to allow for everybody to kind of level itself out to some extent. And so now credit is the way, like, truly. And credit gives you the ability to make something out of nothing. So if you do the right fundamental things, right, if you develop in the right type of spending habits and paying your bills on time, if you learn how to get access to something but not use it all, right, it puts you in a position where credit can be game changing. Some of the reasons why I strongly recommend credit is it determines everything at this point. It determines your insurance rates. It determines your eligibility for loans. It determines your eligibility for housing. It determines there are jobs that will not hire you without decent credit. Did you know that? There are jobs that pull your credit report that are not even in finance, right? Because if you are over leveraged, meaning you are living off of borrowed funds, or you are constantly in a position where derogatory things are occurring in your life, you may be easy to persuade or buy into compromises, right? Breaches, information about us that's not supposed to be disclosed, right? That credit thing is a huge deal because it shows you have some type of balance to the life you're living financially. And given that most things, most decisions, and most factors in your life are going to be dictated by the credit capabilities you possess, it holds weight at almost every area of your life. It truly does. And not just to be able to do stuff, but even the types of bank accounts that will trust you, that will allow you to open up new accounts with them now. A lot of bank accounts, they used to just utilize the check system, which was a system that worked on the back end between banking institutions to say, hey, this person, they like to open up accounts and overdraw them, right? Now it's a situation where, yes, yes. Okay, I'm about to read that comment in a second. But now it's a situation where even the banking institutions check pull your credit to see what it's looking like. And so Jay said my Amex has a 30K limit. The highest I ever let it get was 10K. Paid it off and scared to ever let it go higher. So I'm never over leveraged. I'm gonna tell you something. Amex is probably one of the easiest cards to get higher limits on. Honestly, the more you utilize it, the easier it is to request a limit increase. And Amex is like typically it's the financial institution that a lot of people aspire for. So if you're already in the door, run it up. I know people with $500,000 and $600,000 credit limits with Amex. So Amex, like always push. One of the things I'm gonna tell you about credit, if you have credit available, you every 6 months you should be asking for a credit increase. Like you got to use it for them to be flexible, but as long as you're using it and paying it back, every 6 months ask for a credit limit increase, even if you don't need it. Because one, it's going to take the amount you're going to have to spend to get your utilization to 10%, to 30% is going to increase. And then secondly, it's going to put you in a position where when it's time for you to execute strategically with it, you're going to have the leverage at your disposal without taking as much as an impact. So credit, if you have credit cards, run them up, not run the balances up, run the credit limit availability up to as high as that bank will give you. And if you're with the right institutions, right banking institutions, because during the banking part, that's when you're supposed to be checking the unrestricted lines of credit they'll avail to you. If you're with the right ones, you can get several $100,000 in credit at your disposal, especially if you're preparing to transition into the business side of it. So yeah, hey, Miss Mastic. So yeah, do that and take that seriously. Credit is the foundation, though, and it is ultimately the ultimate way to utilize other people's money. That's why it matters the most. The more you build the foundation fundamentally, the more you have the ability to leverage other people's money to continue on building on the momentum. I take pride in knowing how we have built our credit. 2020, everybody was terrified, everything was falling apart, and we was investing hundreds of thousands of dollars. 2021, we did it again. We invested hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the way we move financially, we don't touch cash until everything is accounted for using credit first. So if you're in a position where you have very little of it, then that means you have very little flexibility in which you even have the freedom to pursue or think about. Like it's the leverage that keeps on. It's truly a building block. There's no other way to say it. And then once you get into the business side of it, which let me do that now. Let me just hop into that now so I can double back to it. Once you get into the business side of credit, it's game changing, right? On the personal side of credit, it's going to be dependent on your on-time payments and your utilization and the age. On the business side of it, it's going to be heavily dependent on, do you pay as agreed, and diversification of your portfolio. Those are going to be the two driving factors. The types of credit accounts you have for business, and do you pay as agreed to? If you pay as agreed to, the amount of credit you are able to access on the business credit side goes into the millions. It literally has the ability to go into the millions. And nobody's worried how much of it you're using at one time. The utilization is not a determining factor like on the personal side. So imagine having access to $1 million in a business to be able to use or invest or execute as you want. And nobody's like, oh, you didn't use the whole million. No, as long as you're paying back that minimum payment as agreed, they don't care. And just think about it. The thing that's more powerful than that when it comes to credit in a business is the fact that there's no limit on the number of businesses you can own simultaneously. Right now, I own 4 businesses. Right? So when you want to talk about the endless possibilities, that's where they come from. They come from the fact that you can rinse and repeat the same thing over and over and over and over again, even simultaneously. Right now, we just started 2 new businesses. So what's about to happen? We're about to lay the foundation building blocks, right? Rinse and repeat what we've done before. And now we're about to prepare to have the leverage of 6 businesses with a huge amount of credit at our disposal. That's how you do it. If you want to be like Trump, you bankrupt some of those businesses, or you start shell companies. But that's another conversation for a different day. That's not the conversation we have today. Anyway, so the credit thing becomes even more fundamental there, and um, it puts you in a position where you now have the ability to really realize that everything that comes with life is required by almost everything equally, your businesses and your personal. And so let me hop into the business real quick, right? Business should be a part of your foundation, right? It should. It fundamentally should. I don't mean starting a business, I mean business. Like, you should have an infrastructure that handles your life. If you structure a business entity, factoring in everything, when you get to a certain level of success, very little is handled by you. It's handled by personal assistants and team and hired staff, right? So you can literally structure, right? Because the more you learn about business, the more you realize that you are a living brand. You are a brand. What you emphasize, what you talk about, what you showcase, what you wear, how you what types of things you give a lot of your money to, like, it is your brand, right? And so if you realize that and you structure your life based on the fact that everything you do is a part of your brand, you can form a business entity around it. By forming a business entity around it, you now allow for all of the requirements of your life to be streamlined through this entity. By doing this, you now put yourself in a position where you have the personal leverage and credit and financial portfolio, but you also now have the professional business resources at your disposal. And the best part about it is a lot of the same things as a business structure is fully deductible. It's fully deductible, right? It's a part of your brand. It's a part of the persona. It's a part of the requirements or expectations that come with maintaining the brand, right? And so then it now puts you in a position where you have a lot more leverage, and it's streamlined. One of the things that's fundamentally necessary, though, is if you want to capitalize on realizing that you are a business, right? It's it also gives you the ability to let whatever you've accumulated transfer. Do you understand what I'm saying? Say transfer. Put transfer in the comments. This is what I mean by transfer. I mean, if you've accumulated $600,000 in business credit cards, right? You've accumulated 4 houses or pieces of land. You've accumulated some art worth $500,000, right? As an individual, you now are in a position where all of that has to be assessed value by value, or has to be the value of it has to be factored in a very strategic way in preparation for your kids to inherit it from you as a person to them as people, or your cousins, or whoever you plan to leave your wealth to, right? Meanwhile, if you are a business, they can literally just take over the business. There's no wealth transfer transpiring. It's a succession plan. In a succession plan, you don't have to compromise all the things that comes with owning in preparation to allow for it to go down, right? And so by being structured as a business, it factors in your succession plan. factors in that you aren't building things to stop with you. Right? We're talking about generational wealth right now. We're not talking about having money. We're talking about economic empowerment. That means it's going to extend outside of yourself one way or the other. Thomas, can I get some water? And so that transfer has to be factored in, and the business entity avails that to happen without everything that's a part of it being taxable just for one person to get it, just for it to leave you and go to the next person that's supposed to inherit it from you. The wealth transfer is how the generational wealth is actually established. So it's a situation where you got to think about the transfer in the business entity. Structuring your life as a business avails that without the compromise. Take the thing off, please. And so I think it's super important to say that out loud. And that includes life insurance. I meant the rapper, babe. That includes life insurance as well. That includes life insurance policies as well. One of the things that I love about life insurance that nobody really talks about is while you cannot get life insurance on you have to get life insurance on people. You can't get them on intangible things. However, you can get them on the people that are part of the intangible thing, like business. There's a life insurance policy you can get on every business. What does the life insurance policy do? The life insurance policy factors in the successions plan. It factors in the wealth transfer, right? The owner die or one of the partners dies, and the policy pays out to the family of the of the person of the deceased. Sorry, I went through a whole brain fart. My apologies. Right? And so, in the event there is anything that doesn't exist within your businesses, things of that nature, the business is going to pay in preparation for the succession plan. So, even that, the life insurance policies are a game changer. It also will allow for you to protect yourself from the worst case scenario. One of the things that life insurance will cover, right? When all the stuff was at the height and people were losing employees and staff and personnel left and right as a result of the virus, you can get life insurance policies on key employees, i.e., the people who actually make your business run. Right? So what does that mean? That means, say you're the CEO, you're the main hunch, right? Some of your family are a part of the succession plan to own your company, but they don't really possess the skills or the knowledge or the resource to be able to step into the role that you were filling. There's a key employee policy you can put in your company as well. Key employee policy is going to pay out to who's left in the business to cover the expenses that comes with getting somebody who can adequately fill your shoes and fill your role in the business itself. Safety blanket money. The people who passed away as a result of this pandemic weren't just low-level labor wage earners. They were some of the fundamental personnel that got these companies to where they needed to go. And so now the life insurance policy can be leveraged to keep the business going or take the business to the next height, new levels, transitions, right? Say transition money. That's what it's called. Transition. Put transition in the comments. The life insurance policy should not be slept on. And that's just on the business side, right? Everything structured as a business changes everything. If you're the brand, you're the key employee. So just keep that in mind. And then one of the things that I do want to make sure I mention on life insurance before I hop off of it is the fact that if you have the right policy set up, not only will it do all of that, you have the ability to borrow against it. You literally have the ability to borrow against it, and the beneficiary amount is what it's secured against. The borrowing is secured against. So as long as you just make that minimum payment every month, you're good. You got a $200,000 policy, you can borrow a pretty hefty amount of that. It'll vary from financial institution to institution, but you can borrow up to anywhere from like 30 to 80%. So you might not be able to afford 160,000, but your life insurance policy value can. Other people's money. Put OPM in the comments. Other people's money. Other people's money is what gets you from where you are to where you're trying to be without trying to figure out how to exchange time for money. OPM, other people's money. And life insurance is one of those things that's guaranteed that everybody need at some point, but you never put in as much as you get out. So fundamentally necessary. It's a building block. You cannot undermine it. You cannot wait for it. You cannot hope that people are going to fill in the gap. It don't work that way. Now some of the other things that are super, super important, right? We've discussed all of this. But a lot of this requires for you to have some sense of knowledge about budgeting. Like, we take pride in knowing we are a funnel and not a cup. What do I mean by that? I mean, the funnel has a wide opening, but it also has an opening at the bottom for things to flow through. And so no matter who you are, no matter how you're living, your life is already a funnel. Something got to come in because something is always going to have to leave, for health, for medical, for health, for just day-to-day sustenance, for shelter, for something, right? No matter who you are, something always has to leave. So you should be preparing to have more come in. However, what happens is a lot of people have turned into tubes instead of funnels, where they have this, or upside down triangles is with an opening at the top is more like it, where they have way less coming in than they have leaving out. Everything gone before it even make it in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it got so many ways to exit before it even really enters. So it's a situation where that budgeting becomes fundamentally necessary. If you don't know what your life requires, it's super hard to assess how much you need to see. And if there's some fundamental things you need no matter what, right? Like, you need the life insurance policy. That's already there. If you I completely understand. Good night. I'm feeling the same way. And so it's a situation where you have to know what you need to be able to get it out. You have to know what you need to be able to get it out. I feel the same way. In that, I feel the same way. I'm tripping. And so it's fundamentally necessary. What does it require for your life? Like, how much does it cost? What are your date? What is your monthly expenses? What are your non-negotiable expenses? What are your added expenses, like your hair, your nails, going out, social stuff, whatever, right? Minimum payments on other people's money, whatever, right? You have to budget. Like, people hate the idea of seeing in black and white what their numbers are, but the numbers don't lie if you write them in black and white. So the budgeting part is fundamentally necessary, because that budgeting part is also going to play a huge role in letting you know what type of leverage you actually have, right? Using other people's money comes with restrictions. Like, there's a debt to income ratio you can have. So even if you're leveraging other people's credit, even if you're leveraging other people's loans and things like this for funding, your income has to be at a certain percentage in comparison to the debt you've accumulated in your process on the personal side. So you have to have the budget. And quite honestly, you need a similar budget even for business. The business needs to cash flow to some extent. So you have to learn the budget. You have to learn to keep a record of everything all the expenses that transpire. You need to be able to equally keep a record of all the revenue you have the capacity to earn. They both equally matter, right? Like if your company sees $100,000, but you're in revenue, but you saw $110,000 in expenses, well, you didn't make a profit, which means it's going to be really hard to get the funding you want. So it's fundamentally necessary to do a budget. I say keep it simple. Like I'm real old school. I like to use Excel sheets. I do have some apps that we equally use, but I like to use Excel sheet. Um, because I need to see the numbers plain, and then after I get comfortable and get familiar with all of the real common reoccurring stuff, then system have a budget because you have to be able to tell what you're eligible for, when, and at what level. Um, so the budgeting is definitely important because that also lets you know what you have actually are in a position to be able to spend based on what you want to be able to spend, right? Um, and then the next thing is going to be, listen, if things ever get rough, you need to figure out how to make other people spend on your behalf. And so that's where I feel like coupons come into play. Or you need to figure out how to make other people spend on your behalf before it, and so you can figure out how much flexibility you can add to your budget, right? So coupons are going to be one of those game changers. One of the ways that I like to talk about coupons now, to just make everybody realize why they're fundamental. Coupons are the cheapest way for companies to advertise to you. They are literally paying you. They're paying you no matter. I don't care if that coupon say 25 cents or if it say $20. They are paying you to consume what they have to offer. They're literally paying you to consume what they have to offer. And so it's fundamentally necessary for you to make them make sure they always pay you to be a consumer. Like we're in a time where brands are rolling out at the drop of a hat, right? Everybody got a streaming platform at this point. Everybody got an app, right? They got a loyalty program. They got some type of thing you can sign up for. Reason why them coupons roll out is because they're paying you to be loyal to their company, to that product you consume from them. And now the algorithms work in your favor. Even if you go to like a grocery store or something, if you the grocery stores have loyalty cards and blah 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 blah. Well, guess what? Every time you check out a certain type of product, it starts to develop an awareness of what type of consumption you do. That's why you see a lot of those. I can't think of what the name of it's called, but a lot of those little things print out coupons right as you're ending your transaction. They're based on what you've been consuming with that store over the period of time, right? They're paying you to stay consistent, right? Because what happens at any store? Sales. Put sales in the comments. Sales happen at every store. Sales. Sales happen at every store. So if you've been riding with this lactose free milk and this other lactose free milk goes on sale for half the price, you might be open to trying it, especially if that's a week where your budget looking a little. So what is your preferred brand going to do? They're going to start running you. They typically do it before you're on the fence. They're going to start running you coupons. I remember when Halo Top first came out. Halo Top is like huge now in certain dietary groups, right? But when Halo Top first came out, how did they even make people receptive of this thing that costs $5 a container? They were printing out free coupons at checkout and they were distributing them frequently, right? And you can't beat free. Can't beat free, especially when it's legally acquired freeness, right? So put free in the comments. You can't beat free. So what happened? They did that for like 3 to 6 months. Nothing but free coupons and distribution. And then when they started to see an uptick in actual sales in the store without the coupons, Then they stopped printing the free ones and they started printing the like $3 or $2 off ones to develop that brand loyalty. And then from there, I ain't seen a coupon from Halo Top in a minute. but but I also don't shop it frequently either. But that's the point. The coupons are paying you to become loyal or consumers of the brand. And so do not sleep on them. Every big brand does them. I promise you, even brands that you're with, our car dealership, you may not pay attention to them, but they'll send them out where it's like $10 off for every service if you go straight through our service department, or $20, or we'll price match your tires, the cheapest tire you can find in the market, right? The price match thing. For those people who can't come up with a consistent coupon that works, they'll price match whatever you find. You can literally come in the store and they'll price match. When Amazon was literally dominating, when people was willing to always just order online from Amazon, then even go into a storefront, what did all of them start doing? They start saying, we'll match the Amazon price. Everybody, Targets, Walmart, and now it's so normalized that they got a database that they can search it in real quick. If you just take it to them, like, oh, I think I've seen this. They got a database they can search it in real quick just to see if it's anything cheaper out there, to keep you as a loyal physically shopping in store customer. So coupons, discounts, price match. Understand it's not a singular way it's done, but couponing, rebates, cash back offers, even the cereal box. You remember that? We were looking at it the other day where it was like $2 worth of coupons inside of that box. But then there was like they'll double it if you do the rebate online. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like they will pay you to consume. So do not sleep on coupons. And when I say coupons, I mean all of them: the rebates, the cashback offers, the discount codes, right? It is not to be slept on. That is a whole lot of money there. That is a whole lot of money that could be redelegated to save in preparation to invest, to budget towards things you really trying to do. A lot of stuff. So do not sleep on that. And then the next thing that since we were just talking about coupons, I might as well get into alternative incomes. There's a lot of alternative income methods out here. It really is. One of the hardest things to do is get hired to jobs with unnecessary resume requirements, completely unnecessary in comparison to the pay, or to get your business out there, to drive more awareness to your business. And so businesses who value marketing, advertising, and just getting more eyes, ears, and awareness about their business out here will pay you for it in a wide variety of ways. From being a brand ambassador, i.e., allowing for demonstrating, talking about, wearing and consuming their product in front of new eyes, as well as where you going, reaching new demographics, right? A lot of companies actually run money to people to toss magnets on their cars, to put billboards in proximity to stuff they have going on. Put advertising, like wrap your vehicle in advertising. Cross promote, right? Cross promote what they have going on, like allowing it to be seen in a consumer method. A lot of brands will pay a lot of money just to get their company consumed by their company patronized by new people in their targeted demographic. And so I said that to say this: there are a lot of ways for you to get your foot in the door without having a resume or without having clout. So there's a brand ambassador avenue. There is the affiliate marketing, right? There is the access to your consumer information. They'll pay you to upload your receipts. They'll pay you to do surveys. They'll pay you to secret shop and share your experience. They'll pay you, what else, Thomas? They'll pay you to to test out games that they're testing in mind. They'll pay you to give your feedback on things you've tried and your experience with them. There are so many outside of those. Some of the alternative incomes are cashback apps. What else, Thomas? Alternative income, babe. Some of the most common alternative incomes are going to be the ones that are just convenient for your life, right? Tossing something in your car, wearing something while you do your normal things, sharing, trying out things, and giving perspective or insight. You're not. I'm looking at you.
I was trying to say, what would that job with the company would pay you to go
door hangers? Yeah, distributing things. They will pay you a lot of money to cut down on distribution that they have to figure out how to do in-house, right? The more secluded you live, the easier it is to make money from big corporations that needs advocacy done up close and personal. Some of the biggest jobs we've done, some oh, the test drive. I forgot about that. I forgot about the test drive and stuff like. It's so much money out here, y'all. For real. It's so many alternative income sources out here outside of full-fledged taking on a new business or hobby. It's a lot of kind of just going with the flow of your current life ways that you can make money. And honestly, this list gets real long. It's like 50 deep, but I'm not looking at the content right now. Traveling, you can get paid to travel. And traveling is one of those things that I'm gonna say is fundamentally necessary, because one of the examples I love to give now, I lived in I left DC after graduating high school, and I started undergrad in Flagstaff, Arizona. I went to Flagstaff, Arizona, which was 2 hours from Phoenix, which was the biggest city, right? The next biggest city. And I was the only person who could do natural hair. I was the only person that had the ability to do natural hair within a 2-hour radius, right? Blue ocean theory. So my first year of undergrad, they did not give me none of my financial aid until April. I know how to process or fill out the necessary paperwork, any of my scholarships or grants. Twice, I didn't see any money until right as the semester was ending. And so it put me in a situation where I wouldn't have been able to afford to do nothing I needed to do freshman year of college without it. So me being a licensed a licensed hairstylist, right, the only one in a 2-hour radius, it made me the point of contact for everybody that needed to get their hair done. And that's how I generated my revenue. But if I went to Phoenix, it would have been a crap ton of places who could do that. However, me being where I was, there were very few options, and it made it work for me to be the resource. So if it was a situation where I feared traveling or feared getting out of my comfort zone and things like that, I never would have realized there was a whole source there, right? Chipotle was like the first big chain next to a Ruby Tuesdays or a Chili's that went into the area. Chipotle made, probably still does, make a killing. Right before I left, the first soul food restaurant came up. And only thing he seasoned his soul food with was salt and pepper. Made a killing. Why? Because you're the only place that caters towards Black food preferences. It's a lot of places like that. Blue ocean theory. That's the name of it. that strategy will have a huge impact. Even if you do something that's considered a oversaturated industry, if you do it in an area where it's underrepresented, guess what? It's a gold mine. So just think about that. Um, what else? So the travel part is fundamentally necessary. You don't realize where the need is going unmet until you get out of your comfort zone to show up in those places. So just keep that in mind. Um, and it's impossible to travel without good health. So let's just get into how fundamentally necessary health and fitness is. It is top tier. All of this planning, all of this strategizing is to no avail if you build all this stuff just for you not to be able to live to reap the benefits of it. You have to prioritize your health and fitness. It looks differently for everybody. I'm not going to say what size, what weight, what body mass, none of that health and fitness looks like on anybody. What I will say is there are some fundamental things that you need to have. You need to have a decent amount of muscle mass for endurance, for what you just say, Thomas? For endurance, for flexibility, for health, all those good jazz. It is not to be slept on. There are really simple things you can do. Making sure to consume more water than you do non-water beverages is going to be a big one. Making sure to at least eat some vegetables and fruits is going to be another big one. Making sure to rest. What? Uh-huh. Um all three of those are fundamentally necessary, and doing something to strengthen your muscles. With age, your muscles deteriorate automatically, so you have to do things to strengthen your muscles as you go. It is fundamentally necessary. It cannot be neglected. Um, and make sure to prioritize your mental health. And then the last one is real estate. Facts of the matter is everybody needs somewhere to live. It doesn't matter how old or how young you get. Real estate is a fundamental necessity, and it also has the ability to be monetized and utilized for a wide variety of reasons. So it is very fundamental to being able to build wealth. The less you have to pay somebody else to utilize this necessary thing. I'm gonna use the example that the person said. You would not play Monopoly, right? Nobody has ever played Monopoly and said, I'ma just go around collecting my $200 and never buy a property. Why? Because you paying rent everywhere you go. As each property get bought up by somebody else, you now have to pay rent everywhere you go, right? And the more properties a person owns, the more leverage they now have to charge higher rents, right? Because if you own Park Place and Boardwalk, you now can put houses on both and put a hotel on it, which runs the value up. You own all four railroads, the amount you got to pay for landing on the railroad goes up. You own all of any section of houses, community of houses, of properties. You now got the ability to toss houses on them, toss hotels on them. The value goes up. So your little $200 stops even having you'll bankrupt yourself. Never owning real estate in Monopoly. But in real life, you'll never see true sustainable wealth if you are always dependent on what somebody else owns for a fundamental necessity like keeping a roof over your head. You gotta own something. You gotta own real estate, whether it's land or a house or something. Because even if it's just land, you can at least buy a tent and put it on it. But you have to own real estate is fundamentally necessary. And real estate is the easiest way for wealth to be tapped into and transferred. And it gives you the most leverage to be to pay off the debt accumulated from owning it. 30-year mortgages are kind of their common practice. And it's the easiest way to leverage a little to get access to a lot. So yeah. All right. that is it. All of those things are fundamentally necessary. I really have a lot that I could say about them. However, this live can't go any longer. It is past out bedtime, and these will be moved till earlier in the day, starting next week, so I can rest. Um, in the meantime, for those who don't know, or if you found one of these areas of topic, like, yo, I really got some learning to do, I really got some work to do, this is a perfect time for you to take advantage of our newly released Get Your Life course recording. I Get Your Life course recording. Typically, you can only even get access to it if you attend the Get Your Life live course. But for the month of February, for the rest of the month of February, you have the ability to access that recording, and you have the ability to access that recording at a major discount. We are running a $10 special, which is crazy. Even the people who attended live, they only get access to the recording for a week, for 1 or 2 weeks, and then after that they have to pay to remain accessible to it. It After the month of February, it's going up to its regular price of $50 a month to even access it. So right now, for only $10, you can click the link in our link tree, or you can click the link in our bio and go under our services from You by Black and go to it. However, click the link in our bio, our link tree bio. That way, it'll take you straight to the discount offer. It's the very first option to select. Make sure to lock it in. You get unlimited access to it for 1 full month for only $10. And quite frankly, we recommend you view it with your whole family. It's one of those things where this type of stuff, you don't want to allow for people to learn it as they go. You want them to be able to get unrestricted access to it all streamlined, so that way they're executing with all the other pieces in mind. And then secondly, teach the kids. Kids actually hold you way more accountable about the information than you realize. Like, once they learn it and once you start to implement it, they're like, oh, but you're supposed to, like, especially if you have kids that are receptive of learning and executing alongside you, they'll 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 pull your tail, like the old people say. They'll pull you by your little coattail if you start to fall short. So it's a really great way for you to build, for you to learn, for you to execute, and for you to have the complete foundation. Every single resource that we use is included in that 5+ hours of content, every single one in detail, as well as a reference link, as well as some support groups and books you can utilize to build on your understanding of any of the specific areas we covered as well. We love you guys to life. Hopefully, this live is super beneficial to you, and we can't wait to see you for next Mondays.